God, Living Word, Living Assembly.
Hello, and welcome to our regular devotional broadcast for today. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Today, we will be looking at what Pastor Davidson titled Your Mind and how it impacts on God's kingdom. You must have noticed that Pastor spends a lot of time teaching about the mind of the believer. I believe that you will agree with me that our minds play a very important part in our walk with God. We encourage you to sit back as we explore together.
Hello everyone, it's Betty, and I am glad to join you in the studio today for another broadcast. Tony and I will be in the studio to explore what our pastor has for us today. Without further ado, let's get started. While your spirit was impacted by salvation, your mind, which is part of your soul, was not. A born-again human spirit without a renewed and transformed mind can do little to fulfill God's plan and purposes in his life. The spirit, soul, and body of the newly created man are distinct from one another. Each of them has their own urges, cravings, and food.
Reading Matthew 11 verse 29, the Passion Translation, simply join your life with mine. Learn my ways and you'll discover that I'm gentle, humble, and easy to please. You'll find refreshment and rest in me. Learning about Jesus Christ is beneficial. It will help you understand how God's kingdom works. He is the one chosen by God to show us the true and living way of God. See John 6 verse 27. Disregarding Jesus' lifestyle is a declaration of independence from God. This will result in death. If man could live without God, Jesus would not have come to earth to die for humanity. God is the life of the believer. That being the case, the believer must rely on God to live the heavenly life here on earth.
It's amazing, Tony, what the Bible translation pastor uses in our opening scriptures today. I love the Passion Translation, as it makes it easier to understand the message clearly. Reading Romans 12 verse to New Living Translation. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then, you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. God needs your mind more than you do. This is because the mind is the gateway to the body, through which God's glory can be displayed to the world. Everything Jesus did came from the Spirit, was channeled through the mind, and was made manifest in the body. The world can only see God through the body's lens. The church is God's body in Christ. It's the Spirit and the bride that say, "Come." If you want a godly outcome, your body must work with the Spirit. The Spirit requires the mind's permission to enter the body. Your mind, if not renewed and transformed, will always oppose God's plans and purposes. Philippians 2 verse 13 Legacy Standard Bible. For it is God who is at work in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. An unrenewed and transformed mind is like one working with an unsharpened tool. It makes the work hard. On the other hand, when your mind is renewed and transformed, it's a big win for God, as it does not question the authority and how God does his work with man.
It is incorrect to grow your spirit without also developing your mind. Although God resides in your spirit, you may be unable to experience the fullness of his presence because your mind is blocking him. You may wonder how a man can obstruct God's power. God is a God of free will, and he created you in the same way. Your willpower is in your mind, which is your creative power. Your mind will resist God's plan if it is undeveloped. God will have to wait until your mind has been upgraded and updated for it to conform to his plan. This is the point at which you believe God is not answering your prayers. God will not bend to the will of man. Psalm 127, verse 1, the Passion Translation. If God's grace doesn't help the builders, they will labor in vain to build a house. If God's mercy doesn't protect the city, all the sentries will circle it in vain. Men have desires that God is interested in fulfilling, but only after God's will has been done. There is no unrighteousness in God. He only wants the best for you, but you must first allow his will to prevail, and then everything else will fall into place. It's about time you learned and understood these God-given principles for your own good. Let God arise on your behalf, child of God. Do not build without His grace and support, or you will build in vain. Diligently renew and transform your mind so that your version can conform to Jesus, our ultimate model.
Thank you for staying with us until the end of our broadcast. We hope that this message will impact you positively in your journey as sons of the Most High God. We understand that it does take time to grow from one level of knowledge to another. Together, we're here to build one another up in the faith. It is our prayers that you get help from the Helper himself to be able to navigate through this turbulent world. It's been a great pleasure to have you in the Living Studio. The devotional was written by our man of God, Pastor Davidson, and read in the studio by Tony and I. Until our next broadcast, it's bye for now, and may the good Lord bless and keep you.